Welcome to Ciao Bella, hosted by me, Erica Firpo, a travel journalist based in Rome. Each episode of Ciao Bella, I sit down with Italy's creators, contemporary artists and artisans, designers, culinary experts, heritage brands, and innovative aesthetes, and more who are defining and redefining 21st century Italy. Pull up a chair and join in. Hey, welcome back. This is Erica, and today I am in San Casciano in the Dolomites, in the mountains, in the very, very north of Italy, and I'm very excited because I'm sitting here with Norbert Niederkofler, who is from the area, and he's giving me the thumbs up because before my pronunciation was extraordinarily off, and I'm so happy that it's on. I'm introducing Norbert because I've been fascinated by for a long time what he's done, and what he's done is something completely different from a lot of chefs. It's called Cook the Mountain. So he came to this beautiful hotel, Rosa Alpina, in 1994, and you were saying it was a pizzeria.
It was a pizzeria, yes.
And then, you took a direction in fine dining that nobody was taking because, back in the day, 20, 25 years ago, fine dining meant you were getting the very best ingredients from all over. So, if you wanted that amazing fish, you were getting it from Japan. You're getting the very best ingredients from all over the world, while instead Cook the Mountain is all about investing in what is found on this mountain. So I'd love to talk a little bit more about that.
Well, we did the same. We were flying in everything. We were using products from all over the world, and just the best was good enough. And in this way, we achieved in 2000, for the first Michelin star, 2007 the second Michelin star, and we were the first restaurant in the northern part of Italy, and especially in the mountains with 2 stars.
And by the way, everybody should know we're in a town of 500 people, correct?
500 people, yes. Yes, correct.
So that's amazing. The single Michelin star is amazing, and then it became 2.
Well, it's outside when the place is closed here because we have 2 seasons. So out season I was working always around the world. So I was traveling around the world. I was working for a long time in New York. I still have a lot of friends and still now traveling a lot. And so you see what's going on around the world. And in 2007 the restaurant was famous for foie gras, 90% every night in the appetizer. And we were famous for sea fish flying in from all over the world, around 150 kilos per week. And then we got the second star, and I said, this is not what I want to do in the future. And so I started to talk to my customers. I started to ask what they expect when they come here, what they feel, what they wanted to see, what they wanted to eat. And so in 2008, I wrote the concept of Cook the Mountain. Until today, I didn't change one word. So it's still the same concept. It was written there. I was really working on this one for over a year. And so today you can use it and it's the same. The idea there was, it was in the mind was very easy, but to do it was very complicated because you had to make the farmers understand what do you want to do, to make the farmers understand where you want to go. And so the only good thing for me was, or the only possibility for me to do this was to cut off everything in the middle. So to cut off all the suppliers, and we go directly. So there's no middleman anymore, and we go directly to the producer, we go directly to the farmers, and we give them the money, which usually a middleman has, so they have more money, and we could start to work with them.
And it's all farmers, all producers from this area.
We work today with around 40 to 50 farmers. Well, it's nice until now, but now it starts to get very complicated because we are not using any citrus. Because on 1,700 meters over the sea level, there is no citrus.
Right.
So we had to find acidity. We buy the whole animals. We never buy just pieces. We buy the whole animals. So we had to use everything, and we had to learn how to use everything, and we had to learn how to deal everything. We are not working with any olive oil. So we had to find a substitute because on 1,700 meters, there's no olive oil growing.
So what's a substitute at this?
This is a very complex story, and it's very, and for us today, the 3 pillars which we are working on is number 1 is mountain. Number 2 is season, because there's no greenhouses involved. So absolutely there's no vegetable coming out of a greenhouse. And the number 3 is no waste. This is very important for us. And so we started, and it was really, people didn't understand what we want to do, where we want to go. But for us, it was very clear. So we had to learn to deal with nature. We had to find farmers on different altitudes. Because, when you start in May, when you start up here last year in May in San Casciano, we had around half a meter of snow. So there was nothing growing. So we had to find farmers close to Merano, Bolzano, that area, which is much lower and which is much different temperature. Then you have to switch around with the farmers. No greenhouses means that you have to separate your production in different places, because if you have all in one place, you have hail in one place,
Right,
then you
it's
have
all gone.
it's all gone. This is one thing. Then with the farmers, you have to think in a totally different way. You have to tell them in wintertime what we need for the whole next year. Because in wintertime, they do all the small seeds, they do them by themselves. We tell them we need around this. So in spring, they have to work the whole winter doing this, and then in spring they can plant the products. But we never know what comes in, when it comes in, and how we can use it. So you have maybe today, when you work with carrots, we have around 25, 30 different types of carrots during the year, because we need spring carrots, we need summer carrots, we need fall carrots, and we need autumn carrots, which we can maintain, preserve in winter time in the sand, in the cellar, like they used to do it in the old days. The problem is with fresh products, you had to, like with tomatoes, we have tomatoes up here, but we never know when they come in. So can they come in summer, in July? Can they come in the end of July? It depends on the weather. So, but then you have the problem that it's maybe today 1 kilo, tomorrow 1 kilo, then you have 100 kilo, then you have 200 kilos, and you have to learn how to deal it and how to store it. So you have to learn the whole process.
So when you said that you got your Michelin star in 2007, and it was 2008 when you spent the year working on this project.
Yes.
I mean, that must have been an incredible transition then, because as you were saying, you have to learn how to store this. You have to learn how to deal with, a surprise bumper crop and a small, and I would assume that means that.
Took me 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
4 to 5 years to learn, to understand, to make the farmers understand what we are doing. We have to understand what the farmers are doing, because the farmers, when you tell them, okay, I need meat, I need filet, and they said, okay, what I'm going to do with the rest? So you have to think about, you have to change the menu, because you have to use both parts, you have to use everything, and so you have to learn. You have to make prosciutto by yourself, you have to do this. Then in summertime, you cannot make prosciutto because it's too hot. You have to make it in wintertime because you store it outside. And so it's a completely, it's nothing new, because it was done in the old days. Because the farmers in the old days, they had to work like this, because they had to do the mise en place in summertime, because otherwise they were running out of products in wintertime. And so this was very interesting, and it was for us in the beginning very, very difficult to make the customers understand what we are doing. So we had to learn to work with the service. So now we have a really good connection between service, because usually you say always service and kitchen they're not going along so well. But we go along very well, and we do every day 2 meetings. We do 1 meeting in the morning, we do 1 meeting in the evening with the service and with the kitchen. And the storytelling has to do the service. Mm-hmm. They have to tell, but we are not telling any stupid stories. All what we say, we do. So there's nothing. And all this step, the next step, helped us to get really closer to the 100% point, where we are really sustainable, where we're 100% sustainable. We are now around 90-95%. So we can really say we are more than 95 than 90 now, but we can really say it's a really complex story. And with the olive oil, we had to find a substitute for olive oil, because we needed some oil, and then we found grapeseed oil. And grapeseed oil for us is perfect, because it has no color and no taste. So in summertime, when you have the wild herbs, because when you work without greenhouses, You have the wild herbs, and when they are ready, they are ready.
So you're doing a lot of foraging.
Yes, and so then you can keep them for 2-3 days, but you have always a huge amount of wild herbs when they are really starting, and then in this way now we can do oils out of it. So we do a basil oil, we do a mint oil, we do a verbena oil, and the base of a neutral oil helps us that we can really do a verbena oil. Because when you have olive oil, the olive oil is much stronger than verbena, and so we can do very delicate oils. So we can also maintain again this one, so the no waste concept goes further and further and further.
Can I ask you, I have two questions that just popped into my head. So one about the oils, are you also doing like a lot of what they call in Italian sottooli, like with the vegetables that are then kept sotto?
Some of the vegetables, yes, we have to do. Some of the vegetables, a lot of next problem, no citrus. So we had to look for acidity. Acidity you can make in the dishes or with wine, or you can do it with vinegar. But wine, you taste the alcohol, and with the vinegar it is too aggressive. And so we had to find another solution. And we started to do fermentation. So we started in 2008 to doing fermentation. We realized that fermentation in this area was an old habit. And now we can produce acidity as much as we want. So we do like a trota mugnaia, which is a very classic Italian dish with a sauce made out of citrus. Trota mugnaia.
Okay, so that's trout for everybody.
Trout, yes. And those days we do the sauce with yellow plums, and it's acidity like a lemon, but the acidity is totally different, and it doesn't go away. You have it in your mouth, and it doesn't go too long down, so it's also good for the wine. Then we had a big problem with the plums. We had huge amounts of plums in the house, and we didn't know what to do with this anymore. So we started to fermentate them. We set them up like a tomato sauce, and then it tasted like tomato ketchup, but without using onions, without using tomato base, nothing. It's just the fermented plums. So now we use the fermented plums cooked in this way as a scarpetta or as a bruschetta with tomato. We write it on tomato ? We serve this tomato base or this plum base for the kids as tomato ketchup. And the big difference is, kids love it because it's a little bit sweet on the end from the fruity taste. But the big difference is on 1 kilo of tomato ketchup, you have from 400 to 600 grams of sugar. In the fermented plums, you have not 1 gram of sugar.
Ah, wow.
So this is, you learn when you learn how to deal. But, it's always very important that you're not the number one. The number one is nature. So you have to learn to deal with nature, and you have to really, as chef, you have to take a step back, and not to take you for too serious, but you have to have a very classic pace, because otherwise you cannot do it. So like we are not doing any sous vide cooking anymore. All the sous vide cooking is gone. We're all doing open fire cooking, and we use all the pieces. So and this is which brought us to a point where we can really run a 3 Michelin star restaurant without using any products which are not around us.
So earlier, before I hit record, you were saying you were talking about the 3rd Michelin star. You got it in 2017, and you were saying this was kind of a big. Aside from being a big deal in general, but this was in particular a big deal because this was not, the ingredients that you're using. Your whole philosophy is, what do we call it? Like, a little bit out of the box for the traditional Michelin kind of guidelines, so to speak. I'd love to hear a little bit more on that.
Well, there was a lot of people, they said to us, hey, listen, stop this thing because otherwise you're going to lose the 2nd star. So watch out what you're doing. But I was very convinced because I was talking to our guests for a long, long time. And so I'm still an old-fashioned guy, so I write everything by hand with the stilo, and I love it. And so I can remember things much, much, much more, much better. And I was asking questions. I asked people from America, what do you expect when you come here? Well, you want this. Okay, I wrote it down, and then I read it the question, and by myself I was really fed up of flying around the world, and in the end of the day, eating in 90% of the restaurants always the same products. Because every product in every restaurant in the world uses foie gras, every restaurant uses lobster, uses caviar, uses turbot, and it's all the same. It's in pigeon in the main course, so it's always the same. And I was really fed up of doing this. I said, this cannot be I mean, why are we flying around the world to eat always the same food? It doesn't make any sense. And so for me, this was clear. I said, I had a meeting with my chefs. I said, hey, listen, there's a lot of rumors around, and there's a lot of things around. They say we should stop this. And I said, we did a meeting in the evening. I said, you think about it. Tomorrow morning, we are going to sit down and we are going to take a decision what we are doing. If we are going back, or if for me, it was always clear. But for me, it was very, very important that the team decided to go there, because otherwise, by myself, I cannot do it. And so for me, it was very important that the team, and I have all young chefs, so like my sous chef, he's with me for 7 years now, and he's now 28 years old.
Oh, wow. He's really young.
Yes. He's now 20, he started here with 21
20,
years. So
yeah.
he saw the whole changing, and he saw everything what I did in that year. And, you know, they have to be 100% convinced about what they're doing. And I tell them always, hey, listen, guys, this is your future.
Well, they have to live the philosophy, yeah.
I'm 60 years old, so I'm thinking also on retiring some days. But, you know, it's for them, because this is, and we are working now on a book which comes out this fall, which is going to be called Cook the Mountain, The Nature Around You. So we're doing 400 pages on a coffee table book. Mm-hmm. We just did things what we are doing. You know, we show everything. We have a huge part in the book are going to be the producer, because the producer are going to be the stars for the future. And it's all printed on Apple paper, because since we started with Cook the Mountain, we print all the menus on Apple paper, so which is 100% recycled paper from the waste of the apples. We do all the cover outside is done by apple leather, so it's a leather which is 100% recycled by waste of the apple.
And
so
it's vegan.
Yes, it's all like this. It's a totally, as I said, a 360 concept.
You know, speaking of 360 concepts, you were telling me, so this morning I skied, which was a big deal for me, and I went to the top of Place de Caron, I think it is, and I saw Lumen. I didn't get a chance to go inside. When I came here, when I was talking to Hugo, he told me that your restaurant is there.
Yes.
And you briefly mentioned that it's not just Cook the Mountain, which is your philosophy on cooking. It's not just the restaurant. It's not just the food. It's the entire concept of the restaurant. And I'd love to know a little bit more about that.
Well, you know, when they asked me 3 or 4 years ago, I was first talking with Hugo, and Hugo said, okay, you do it, because for me it was important that he agreed. And then I went to the owners, and they asked me if I was interested in this. I said yes, but I want to do it with my own designer. If you let me do this, yes, otherwise I'm not doing it. Because in Plan de Corona, you have on one side Adige, and she did
The Messner Museum, yeah.
Yes, she did the last museum before she passed away. Is up there. It's with Reinhard Messner inside, and then in the museum where we are, it's called the Museum of the Mountain Photography, so which is very interesting for us. And when they agreed that I can take my designer, so I started to work with Martino Gampa. He's a long friend. He was already before a long time friend of mine. He's from Merano, and he lives in London, and he became famous in London with a project which is called 100 Days, 100 Chairs with the Waste of London. So he was walking around in London for 100 days, and just what he found on the streets, he was doing 100 chairs. And he got nominated as one of the most important sustainable designers in the world. Then when we had the first meeting, I said to him, hey, listen, Martino, there's 2 things which are very important for me. Number 1 is I would like to have a living room in the mountain, so acoustic is got a huge importance, and it's very difficult because you sit in a glass house. And the second thing what you had to consider is to have the philosophy of Cook the Mountain in the design. So to use local products, local producers, local handcrafts, all people from that area. And he was working on rendering, so he took all the philosophy of the mountain living rooms worldwide. So from South America, North America, Canada, Nordic countries, Japan, China, and he took the ideas out of there. And then he did an amazing job because the ceiling was all done by Mesmer, which is one of the oldest manufacturers for Loden in the world, and it's in Brunico.
Ah,
And it was done with the Japanese corn painting technique so that you don't polish the water when you do the coloring. So the long stripes are all done on the loom by hand. Then the color which was not taken fell down on the wool, and the stripes going in on the other side. So you have 330 square meters of panels, and there's not one the same as the other one. So it's all single pieces. Then we have 220 meters of tracks where we can put the lamps. The lamps are made in an old traditional way with the outside of the lamp is pork belly. It's like a bergamin, but it's made out of pork belly. It's a traditional thing. Then all the chairs and all the tables are single pieces. It's all wood from this area, and it's all made by handcrafts from this area. So there's everything, and it's all single pieces, but you can put them together, and when you put them together and you do a long table, the outside looks like a mountain. Then we have a hug under every chair for the helmet, so that in wintertime you can put the helmet on the hug, because I said I don't want to have any wardrobe in here. So it's absolutely no way. Yes, because when you sit on the right side, you have the Alps in front of you. Mm-hmm. And then on the left side, so you have to see on the other side of the restaurant, you have the Dolomites. When you sit on the left side, you have the Dolomites in front of you, and you have to see, because this is the two most important mountains in Alto Adige. The Alps on one side and the Dolomites on the other side. They're totally different mountains, because the Alps are higher, they have a lot of glacier, they are 2,500 meters, and I'm born there, and it's Italy. And on the other side, you have the beautiful Dolomites, which is amazing. And so
the whole landscape is a UNESCO World Heritage.
Yes,
and
yes,
actually, I just want to tell everyone that you might have caught his name as sounding German. Where you were born, you're from the area of Brunico.
I'm born in this area, yes.
Which is Italian, but it's a German-speaking area, and
Well,
so
we have three languages. We have in Südtirol, Alto Adige, we have three languages. We have 60% German speaking. We have 30% Italian speaking, and we have 10% Latin speaking. So Latin is the area, San Cassiano, Dolomites, it's all Latin speaking. Then just the big cities is Italian speaking, the rest is all German speaking. But the beautiful thing for our kids, they grow up with 2 and 3 languages.
yeah.
Because every language is taught in the school.
Hugo was telling me that he said his youngest daughter, when she goes to school, each day the clown is a different color, and that means the language of the day.
Yeah.
Which is, it's incredible, because it's totally they're polyglots here, polyglots, because you're speaking multiple languages. But I think a lot of people, when they hear Italy, they don't really know that Italy has, here in the Dolomites or in the Südtirol, is a mix of different languages and a mix of different ethnicities to some degree. The Ladino, the Italian, the German.
No, we have this is autonomy. So Südtirol got autonomy. 90% of the tax we pay, they come back to Alto Adige. So we have our own school system. We have a different. It's always based on Italy, but then we have.
That's why everything works
things.
here.
Well, yes, and it's all organized by this area. So we are quite happy. We are in a really good position. And so I went on with this. Then the floor was made like the old stube, which was made out of.
Stube is like the
place.
the camino, right?
Yes.
Fireplace.
No, it's this. Yeah, well, yes, but stube means for us is the most important place in a farmhouse.
Oh, like a hearth.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and the floor was made in the old tradition, so it's a floating floor. And you have all old wood, and now you have ready to go on with ski boots for 2-3 years. Then it gets really nice, because then it's like an old farmhouse.
Oh, wow.
And then there's one stone in there. The stone is all serpentine, which is a local stone. So it's all in this way. Then food is anyway. So you can stay there in the middle of the restaurant and you can point a finger to where the vegetable comes from, where the butcher is, where the guy, the handcraft is who did the chairs, where the guy is who did the tables, where the guy is who did the floor, where the wood comes from the floor, where the stone comes from. So you stay there and you have everything under your feet. And so this is quite interesting. And also with the drinks, we were doing. So we are not serving Coca-Cola, we are not serving Fanta, we are just serving local apple juice, grape juice, all stuff like that. And also the wine list is main all from Alto Adige. And we have the biggest problem for me was the water, because we did the calculation. I did calculation that I had to bring up 35,000 bottles of water for the winter time with the trucks, and then to bring them down again in spring. And I said, I'm not going to do this. And so now we are using the local water, so it's a source close by, and we are using that water. And in Südtirol, by law, the water what you use for making snow has to be drinkable.
Oh, the ones when they sparare, right?
Yes. It has to be drinkable, because then when it melts, it goes anyway in the soil, and so you get it again in the water. And so we use the water from there. We clean it, we filter it, we mineralize it, we sell it, but we give 50 cents per liter in a sustainable project in drilling for water in Africa.
Oh, wow.
So it's all.
Can I ask a quick question? What's the menu? Is there a menu difference between here and there?
No, it's cooked in mountain. It's a lot of difference, yes, because it's much easier. It's also the cost is much lower, and so it has to be for everybody. So because people going in with the ski boots, people coming with, especially in summertime, with kids for the museum, for this, and so it's a different concept.
You know, you were talking a little bit earlier about no waste, because I think a lot of people when they talk about sustainable cooking, you know, one of the conversations I love talking about is the waste factor, because I think it's difficult. So what happens? I mean, how is that in your kitchen?
Well, also there we changed, we turned it around, because it doesn't make any sense for me to do my normal kitchen and then having a lot of waste and then trying to think about what can I do with the waste. No, we do the recipes, and like we have one dish. It was the first real dish what we started to do in this concept. It's a white fish tartare, but there we really put the fish on the table. We said, okay, we are not stopping before we didn't use everything from this fish, but in the recipe. And not that we had to do extra recipes afterwards to use it, no.
Okay.
The recipe had to be done 100% on just this product. So the white fish got, it's a local fish, it's a freshwater fish, and got a very nice, very thin skin and very thin scales. So we take first the scales off, we clean them, we wash them, we dry them, we deep fry them, and then we use them as a crunchy part. The same thing we do with the skin. So we dry, we deep fry it, and when we use it as a crunchy part. Then we take the meat off. The meat we do marinating, and then we use it for as a tartare marinated. Then the bones and the head, we saute them really, really strong, and then we make a classic beurre blanc out of it. So we really started, we used everything. So in the end, we are just throwing away the bones, the leftover from the bones, that's it. But also the juice and also the taste we took already out before. And then we had a little bit of dill oil made in the same way as I said before, you know, with the grapeseed oil as a base. So you get the beautiful color, and you really have the dill. And the dill anyway grows close to the river, close to the lake. And so you have a whole concept, and you use everything. So all the dishes are made in this way.
So you also mentioned, and I'm really looking forward to trying that out, because I remember I was up in the mountain this morning and I was like, what is that place? And now I'm very, very curious. But you mentioned to me that this concept, this Cook the Mountain concept, is something that also started you thinking in another direction, and you're doing consultation in Venice for a project at the Mon called Cook the Lagoon, because you can't do Cook the Mountain in New York City. You can't do Cook the Mountain everywhere.
No, I don't want, because it doesn't make any sense. Because then we would do the same thing, what I said, I don't want to do it.
Exactly.
Because then I would take the products from the mountains and fly them around the world. It doesn't make any sense for me. But you know, the great thing about Cook the Mountain, about the philosophy, about the base of Cook the Mountain, you can do, as I said, Cook the Lagoon. You can do all those things, and it works, because it really works. And
Well, you can take that mentality, the philosophy anywhere.
yeah, so we are using the product just from the lagoon. So we have the farmers there from the lagoon, we have the castraura, we have the moike, we have all the vegetables, all the fish, all the products from that area. Just when you start to think in this way and when you start to work in this way, you really can change something. Because then you're not moving around products around the world, you are using the products from there. And the most important thing is this, as I said before, there's two important things. One, you show young people that they can go to 3 stars with a concept which is the nature around you, number one. And number two is really that you're going to maintain the culture. Because we, doing Cook the Mountain, we learned so much about culture that we didn't know. I mean, I was born here and I didn't know before, but now, you know, talking with the old farmers, talking with all the people, and using the knowledge what they had, and we realized that we didn't do anything new, but we are going to lose those things, and this is a pity. This is what really makes a country, especially like Italy, very interesting.
I fully agree, and I think, you know, it's nice. I think I'm slowly seeing. There's a chef in Rome who's doing something very similar, in the sense he's really focusing on Rome, Lazio products, and within the pasta culture of Rome, which is really, really nice to see. And he's very involved in foraging. And I think for a long time these were things, you know, it was, you know, we've known that Italy has so many amazing, aside from traditions, but it just has everything. You know, you go to Sicily and the amount of produce there is incredible. You know, you're in Emilia Romagna, and like but this to me I think is even more fascinating, because I think one of the things about mountains, in my opinion, is that, you know, it's not seasonal. It's very strictly, you know.
Mountain Bro is the toughest place.
Yeah.
Because this is the worst place where you can do a project like this. Because 4 months per year you get nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it's.
or you fill up the storage room by yourself, otherwise you're running out of products. And this is what happened to me the first year, because I started in summertime with Cook the Mountain, and it was really great. You know, summertime you have products, you can do, you can change, you can this, and then I arrived. Then wintertime arrived, and I had no products.
So what'd you do?
So I had to take a step back, and then recreate everything. You know, as I said before, you know, you have to work, because like also the project with the no greenhouses, then you have to tell the farmers half a year before what they have to plant next year, so that they can work in wintertime and doing in wintertime the seeds, and then they have to plant them in spring. And so you have to think in a totally different way. You have to think always half a year in advance. We are using a lot of Asian influence, so we are using soya sauce, but made by us. We're doing a soya sauce.
So where are you growing the soy?
No, we cannot even call it soya sauce because it's made out of mountain lentils. But it tastes exactly like soya sauce.
Oh, wow.
But you know, to make a sauce like this takes you 3 to 4 years, 3 to 5 years. So it's completely different. You know, we do miso, but we do miso with chickpeas. We do kimchi, we do koji, we do all those work, all those preparations, but we do it always with local products. So the view is totally different now. Now you can really do lots of things, and this was great. This is great now today, but you have to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, it must be really an incredible, great learning experience. I mean, I'm sure there probably were frustrations, but it just sounds like, I mean, every day it feels like there must be something new that you're figuring out.
What we are starting now to work this summer on a project with the bees.
Ah.
So we have I found a farmer who got around 24 acres of farmland up on 2,000 meters over the sea level, and so we are starting to work on this project, which is amazing, because I mean, the bees, they are going to change the world. Well,
Yeah.
If you don't have the bees here, there's nothing is growing, and so this is, you know, it never stops. This is crazy.
Now, do you have in San Casciano and Rosalpina, do you have like an orto or anything, or you're
No.
completely working with
No, I have no orto because I don't even have the time. We don't have the time. We have a little bit of herbs, yes, but I mean, it would be the wrong thing to say orto. But you know, this is like last year we had a problem with one farmer, and he said, "I cannot produce for you the amount anymore what you need. I have to hire people." And I said to him, "No. You don't have to hire people for me. You invite a couple of friends of you who are working in the same direction or who are thinking the same direction. Then we do a meeting and we see how we can work with the products around." So we did one Sunday a meeting with all of them. We were sitting around the table with 10 people, and we were talking. Okay, what your farmland, did you use it 100% or you have still some place left? And so we did the production. We moved the production around, and then it's now everybody's happy, and he doesn't have to hire people, because I said, you know, you have always to care when you hire people, you have to pay them. And you know, maybe you have a bad summer, you cannot pay them, and I don't want to do this. And also, you know, when they want to sell to other people, to other restaurants, I help them. You know, when other people call me or other chefs call me and they ask, "Where do you buy this?" I say, "Here, go." Because, you know, it can happen something with me. Then you're running out of business. I mean, one guy who is today probably one of the most important farmers for us, he wanted to stop to work on his farm because he was producing milk. And he said, "Well, I cannot feed my family with this. I stop. I go to the factory to work there and I leave the land there." He said, No. Work for us and you will see it works out. We give him today from 5,000 to 10,000 euro per month in vegetables.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of money. And we give it to him directly. So there is no middleman. There is nobody taking money, you know. So it's very complicated sometimes, because sometimes I have to go to pick up the products. Like today, this is why I'm late. I had to go to a cheese producer because we need goat milk, we need cow milk, and we have some recipes, and they are not working with the normal milk. We have to have the really good quality. And so I had to go there, I had to pick it up, I had to find him because he wasn't there. I was running behind him and this and this and this and this. But it's good, it's great.
It must be really fulfilling. And I think it must be great to see that this is already a very tight community. From my experience in San Vigilio, in this whole area, there's small towns, very tight community. Everybody knows everybody, but you're really reinvesting in the community and helping the community work together as a team.
Yes.
Which I think I think that's really beautiful. I think it's an element that's the way I think things used to be, and I think it's an element that is missing.
To feed 10 billion people on long terms, you can do it just with small producers. You cannot feed them with monoculture. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. And we know that it's not going to work because there's studies and they show it that it isn't going to work. Because the problem is the soil. If you put monocultures in, you have first year you do probably double than with the normal culture, with the permaculture. Then the second year is a little less, third year is less, and fourth year is gone.
Right.
And when you work in this consequence like we are doing, you really can work it. You just have to follow the rules of the nature. You know, you have to turn around potatoes this year, you grow them here. Next year you grow them there. The year after you grow them there. Tomatoes 1 year here, the next year there, the next year there. So when you do this not natural circle, and when you work in the old tradition ways, the soil has always the same consistency and has always the same values. And this is the important thing. And so on long term, this is the only way to feed 10 billion people in a decent way and in a healthy way.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ciao Bella. If you'd like to know more about today's guest, please visit ciaobella.co and click on the podcast link, or go directly to ciaobella.co/podcast. Want more Italy? You can find all my episodes on iTunes and Spotify and Stitcher. When you have time, subscribe to iTunes and rate the podcast. What are you waiting for? And if you want to be part of the podcast, email me or DM me your Italy questions. To learn more about me and my work, go to my website, ericafirpo.com, and follow my Italy adventures on Instagram at ericafirpo. Ciao, Bella! And a very big thank you and hug to Massimiliano Yonta and Disc to Disc Studios, the producers of Ciao Bella, who continue to make me sound and feel great.